Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining the Welcome to SOAS from Clearing to Campus webinar today. My name is Alexa Cole. I'm one of the UK student recruitment officers here at SOAS. So part of my role is recruiting students throughout the country to SOAS University of London. Today we'll also be joined by one of our academics, one of our current students here at SOAS, and also you'll have the opportunity to hear from a member of our study abroad team as well as a member of our career services team. We'll also have an opportunity at the end of the presentation to go through some questions that you all may have about anything that we talk about within the presentation today. So if you do have questions, feel free to just pop them into the questions chat, and I'll be monitoring those. And as I said, we'll get to those at the end of the webinar today. So firstly, I'm just going to start a bit with the history of SOAS. So for those of you who may not know, so SOAS is a college of the University of London. So SOAS was founded in 1916, again as a school or college of the University of London. We officially became the School for Oriental and African Studies in 1938. And from that time, we were a university focused on the areas of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. And kind of our purpose at that time was to train foreign magistrates as they were going off into the British colonies in these parts of the world to train them on the languages and customs and cultures, literatures and geographies and histories of these parts of the world. So we've had a really strong tradition in these parts of the world for a long time now at this point. Since then, we have become a leader in the areas of the social sciences, the arts, and the humanities. The SOAS of today, though, is very different from our origin. Now we like to strive to be a decolonial institution. So some of our values that you can see on the screen here. So we strive to see the world through a different lens. And what that means is that at many universities, when you're studying things like history or politics, or sociology and anthropology, it's mostly seen through a Western lens. Whereas here at SOAS, we try to view all of these different areas of study through lenses, again, focused on Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. We strive to challenge the status quo. We're committed to building equitable global partnerships. We thrive in diversity and strive to create a more equal and just world while also embracing inclusivity. You can also see some of our stats and figures on the screen. So as you can see, we actually are at this point about 6,000 students on campus. So that includes both our undergraduate students, so students who are pursuing their bachelor's degrees, as well as our master's and PhD students. And as you can see as well, we are a predominantly international campus. So about 54% of our students, of our undergraduate students here at SOAS, are from outside of the UK. And of course, that relates back to our value of being an inclusive and diverse campus. And some other elements of SOAS that make us a unique university. So as I said, we are a leading institution in the areas for the humanities, the social sciences, and the arts, as well as including the unique languages that we offer, which I'll touch on. We do deploy a global perspective, and what that means is we do try to interrogate and challenge Eurocentric narratives, again, and whether that's you're studying history or politics or international relations, we strive to challenge these typical Eurocentric narratives that you hear in these different areas of study. And we also have leading academics who are practitioners within the field. So what that means is that our academics, so our teachers, our lecturers, our professors, have not only been academics or teachers, but they themselves have also worked within the field. So they're also researchers. Many of them have worked for some of these different international organizations. And they're bringing that experience and that knowledge into the classroom when they teach. At SOAS, you do also have a number of different opportunities, both in and outside of the classroom. And these are just some examples of the reasons in which students choose to come to SOAS. So, of course, a big drawing point is our location. So, we are centered in the middle of London, in the heart of London. So, we're in Bloomsbury. It's about a 5-minute walk from the British Museum. So, very central, very easy to get to from wherever in London you do live. We have over 100 student societies and clubs, which include different cultural societies, sports, art societies, and our student ambassador who's here with us today will also touch on that. We do also have the opportunity for students to learn new languages. So whether that's a language that you're studying as part of your degree, or just a language that you choose to take for a term or for a couple of terms. We do offer study abroad. Study abroad is something that is available to all of our students, regardless of what course you're studying. And I'll touch more on that as well. And you'll hear more from one of our study abroad members today as well. We have a really excellent career services office and a really thriving global alumni network that you're able to access as a SOAS student. And we do offer a number of events and lectures and cultural festivities throughout the year, which again are available to all of our SOAS students. So speaking of languages, languages are, of course, a really big part of the SOAS experience. The languages that we offer full degrees in, and some of you may have applied to study a language course, are Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. But even if you're not studying a language as your main degree, so say your primary degree is global development, you'll have the opportunity to take any of these languages that you see on the screen as an optional module. And as you can see, all of the languages that we offer here at SOAS are non-European languages, so languages that are from Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. And some of these languages, we are actually the only institution in the UK that offers study. And again, with our languages, you can, of course, study them as a degree. So maybe some of you have applied to study Arabic, or maybe you're studying Chinese and history. But as I said, you can also add any of these languages onto your course if you want to study them as an optional module. If you are studying a language as part of your degree, so if you are a student that's studying Korean as part of your degree, you will be going abroad. So study abroad is compulsory as part of our language courses. My colleague Rachel is here to talk a bit more about that today as well. But essentially, you would go abroad during your third year. In that example that I mentioned, if you're studying Korean, you would, of course, go to Korea, to one of our partner universities in that country. And you're there as a student, you're placed at a university, and you'll also have the opportunity to, of course, travel. Some students do internships while they're abroad, and then you'll come back in your fourth year to finish your degree. So all of our language courses here at SOAS are 4-year courses. I do also want to touch on, related to that, the combined degrees. So for example, maybe you're studying international relations and Chinese, so doing a dual degree. Essentially how that works is that the modules that you have would be split in half. So each term, half of the courses that you would take would be in international relations, and half of the courses that you would take would be in Chinese. So essentially what that means is, if you were a student that was just studying single honors, so you were only studying international relations, you would have about half of your course schedule open and available to take classes in all of the different departments that we offer at SOAS. As a student studying a combined degree, you don't have that same kind of flexibility. So again, half of your courses would be in each of the areas of study that you're getting your degree in. However, there is flexibility in the different modules, the optional modules, and the variety of modules that you're able to take in each of the areas of study. So maybe you're taking for international relations, one of our modules focus on international relations and politics in China. So related to your Chinese degree. And then with the course that you're taking in Chinese, you'll of course be taking the language, but then also things about the history, the literature, maybe the art or the film of China or Taiwan or Hong Kong. So you'll still have the opportunity to really get a lot of variety out of your degree if you're studying a combined degree. We do also, of course, offer the foundation year, which some of you may have applied to as well. So the foundation year, or year zero, is what you would take before progressing on to your degree of choice. So we offer a foundation year dedicated to students that are interested in studying either business or economics or law. And then we also have our foundation year for students that would like to progress onto one of our humanities courses, so things like languages, history, or social sciences, again, things like politics or international relations. So you would choose one of those two foundation years. Again, some of you may have already applied to that. And what the foundation year does is that it equips you with the skills and knowledge that you need in order to be successful in the area of study that you ultimately choose to pursue your degree in. And upon successful completion of the foundation year, you will be able to progress on to whatever course it is that you chose. So if you want to study, the BSc, the Bachelor of Science in Economics, you would have the availability to do so. If you want to study the LLB of Law, you'll be able to do so, again, upon successful completion of the foundation year. And then lastly, I do, of course, want to talk about our standing as a member of the University of London. So there are 17 different institutions that make up the University of London. So some of them I'm sure you may be familiar with. So things like UCL, KCL, Birkbeck, who we share our campus with as well. So all of these different universities are part of the larger University of London, and we do share a number of different facilities that are open to all students that are part of this university system. One of these facilities is Senate House. So we do actually on SOAS's campus have a wing of Senate House that belongs to SOAS, and that houses our student hub. Some of our courses are taught within Senate House, and of course, as a member of the University of London, you have the opportunity to access the Senate House library. And again, it's always kind of the best of both worlds, I say, because SOAS itself is quite a small university. We only have about 6,000 students. But across the University of London, there's over 100,000 students. So you do have the option to tap into that larger student network if you wish to do so. Students part of the University of London are able to join clubs and societies across all of the different campuses, which again, you'll be able to hear about too once I pass it over to our student ambassador today. So now I will pass it on to my colleague Paul, who's here to talk to you about academics here at SOAS. Paul, if you want to take it away and just let me know when you want to switch slides.
On mute, unmuted, no problem. Thanks so much, Alexa. Lovely to meet all of you, albeit virtually. I hope you're enjoying the sunny weather. So just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Paul Gilardi. I'm a senior lecturer in philosophy here at SOAS. And what I'm going to do for the next 10 minutes or so is give you a kind of flavor of what it's like to engage with SOAS at a kind of pedagogical level, to think about the kind of core features of teaching and learning at SOAS, the kinds of strategies we use as academics to create the most inclusive, stimulating learning environments, and also to think about the kinds of assessments and extracurricular activities you can have on the teaching learning front as well. So yes, Alexa, next slide, please. So very much consistent with Alexa's lovely presentation at the start, we're very much interested in conceptually interrogating questions at the intersection of the humanities and the social sciences in a critical, decolonial, global, and interdisciplinary manner. So this is very much what Alexa means by seeing the world through a different perspective. The idea that we don't just simply call out Eurocentric biases, we don't simply call out the problem of global north conceptual frameworks cluttering landscape, we try actually to overcome it. And that's a very important point. It's not just simply calling it out, it's actually addressing it and aiming to overcome it as well. So the kinds of things that we do is that we adopt this decolonial comparative global discursive framework for thinking about literary criticism, anthropology, sociology, music, where particularly in music, we focus a lot on ethnomusicology. So you're doing always anthropology, bits of philosophy, bits of political theory, bits of social theory with music as well. So it's a very, very rich, contentful discourse there. And of course, linguistics in ways that are very much interested in knocking mainstream Euro-American conceptual frameworks off their perch. Alexa, next slide, please. So in terms of the kind of key bits to think about in terms of the teaching and learning portfolio, what I would say is that, again, consistent with themes that Alexa already very kindly and articulately spoke about earlier, is that what we do at SOAS as part of our core mission is social justice, which means that our pedagogies themselves are philosophies of education. In other words, our pedagogical principles, our pedagogical activities and the like are rooted in a tradition that you get from the 1970s, developed by a brilliant Brazilian pedagogue, Paulo Freire, called critical pedagogy, where you think about education as geared towards social emancipation. So you don't try to just reproduce efficient workers within the capitalist rat race. You try to create well-rounded, critically articulate citizens who call out injustice and try to make the world a better, less cruel, far more humane environment. And central also to the critical pedagogical portfolio is our emphasis on relational pedagogies, which means that we very much try to flatten the traditional teacher learner hierarchy by ensuring that what we have is an environment in which students' array of lived experiences, whether it's neurodivergence learning differences, sexual differences, etc., these are all centered as robust sites of knowledge production and knowledge exchange. So they're not barriers to objectivity, they are actually sites of objectivity themselves. And then again, consistent with this is our policy of introducing as much authentic forms of assessment as possible. So we pride ourselves on creating environments where you can meet the learning outcomes for your modules in a wide range of inclusive ways: academic blogs, reflective learning diaries, podcasts, performance art, and so on and so forth. And I'll give you soon a snapshot of what kinds of assessments you can expect on the range of programs at SOAS. Crucially as well is our interest in thinking about how SOAS's unique lens can shed light on the constructive and critical and positive engagement with generative AI. As we know, that's here to stay. Gen AI is not going anywhere anytime soon, but rather than just clamor for a call back to in-person exams or uncritically think that AI can just free us up of all the drudgery of daily life, leaving us to frolic in the realm of freedom, as Karl Marx called it. Rather, we need to kind of occupy a very sophisticated middle ground, which is what we try to do. That, you know, will get you to actually test ChatGPT's response to certain prompts so that you are actually calling out the AI for problematic knowledge production itself. And that's a lot of fun. And again, central to the whole discourse across all three sectors of relational and critical pedagogies, authentic assessment, and the critical constructive engagement with Gen AI is culturally inclusive and neuro-inclusive environments. We very much want to have an environment which very much is the best of all possible inclusive worlds. So specific learning differences are catered for and celebrated, and of course, a wide range of cultural backgrounds, racialized contexts as well, are celebrated and centered as well. Next slide, please, Alexa. So as I said, we've got a very diverse and varied assessment culture. So if you're studying languages, for example, you'll obviously have language tests, a bit like school, but funner as well, because you know you're now adults, young adults, so you'll be able to kind of move away from the trauma of language education at secondary and primary school. You've also got the opportunity, obviously, to write essays, many of which you will design the essay question yourself. because that's what I mean by the relational pedagogical point. We trust you with your intellectual repertoire to design your own essay question. You just need to consult us, because obviously we can help guarantee that the essay question itself is going to be testing the module learning outcomes where relevant as well. Book reviews, literature reviews. Literature reviews are one of my particular favorite things, because that's the kind of essence of what it is to be a researcher with active stakes of knowledge production. There are some in-person exams. There are also some online-based exams where we use software called Inspera to conduct those online assessments. We've also got dissertations, so that's traditional kind of long, extended, substantive pieces of research work, usually around 10 to 12,000 words in length. It's like a kind of typical academic journal article type format. Alexa, you can go to the next slide as well, please. We've also got, as I said before, academic blogs, creative portfolios where you could produce, for example, bits of poetry, music composition, infographics as well, podcasts, which you can also do with your peers on the course. So you can do group work as well, rather than the kind of siloed, individual-centered typical mode of assessment as well. Pre-recorded PowerPoint presentations. No one is expecting you to just do a presentation in front of 50 of your peers and then be mercilessly judged by academics and everyone else. This is not architecture, which creates all sorts of trauma for folks. This is actually a very, very good, fun, liberatory experience of doing the pre-recorded presentations yourself. And as well, finally, and certainly not least of all, art performances. So we have the SOAS Gallery, formerly known as the Brunei Gallery, which is home to opportunities for students to display material culture work, so sculptures or paintings, for example, but also there's a mini theatre, which is really lovely, beautiful environment, which is often used for precisely concert performances as well. So you've got the opportunity to do that as well if you're so inclined. Next slide, please, Alexa. In terms of general academic support, and this is very important because you can have all of the exciting pedagogical points to bear in mind, but if there's no kind of robust institutional infrastructure to support that, you can't really benefit from all of the exciting things that SOAS offers. But academic support at SOAS is really front and center of what we do. Happy students are flourishing students, and to help you become as happy and as flourishing as possible, we have these kinds of ranges of support offered. We've got an academic advisor who is an academic member of the staff at SOAS, who will meet with you usually 4 or 5 times an academic year to kind of check on your progress, to work out what support you may need on the academic front if you have specific issues that you're struggling with. It could be referencing or paragraphing or literature review composition, all of that stuff, which leads us to how we can support you with things like study skill development. And there's a student learning center with a massive army of wonderful study skills tutors who are there to help you realize your full potential. For students as well with disability needs, whether these are on physical disabilities or mental health related disabilities, or even neurodivergent learning difference related disabilities. There is a disability and neurodiversity team spearheaded by the wonderful Carol John at SOAS that caters for students with a wide range of conditions and differences and disabilities as well. And it's very much, again, celebrating those specific learning differences rather than forcing you into a neurotypical pattern, say. For the mental health side of things, of course, we have our dedicated student advice and wellbeing team. We have a wide range of mental health advisors. We also are, there's lots of mental health first aiders as well, trained at the institution. There's even now development of staff wellbeing teams as well. So there's lots of intersection at this level in terms of equity, diversity, and inclusion, which is very important as, again, part of the SOAS mission for social justice and for ensuring that you have the most wonderful, joyful experience on campus as possible. And again, last and certainly not least, is we have peer-assisted learning schemes. So these are usually second and final year students at the undergraduate level who effectively mentor incoming first year students. So you have really peer-to-peer learning support, which is a really beautiful thing to see. It's not just academics speaking with students, it's actually students creating their own communities of practice themselves. and repeating that throughout the years. And that's something which we're very proud of at SOAS, and it's a real winner in terms of our learning experiences as well. And I think that might be it, unless there's another slide, Alexa, which is coming. Oh, of course, I totally forgot, much to my embarrassment, but this is something which I really am very happy to talk about, and I'll be very brief because I don't want to eat up into too much time. We have pedagogy as well beyond the classroom. So it's not just simply in your lectures and your tutorials and your seminars and your language skills sessions where you learn about the content. We also have, since the academic year 2022-2023, the launch of the University Co-Creator Internship Scheme, which has been home to some really exciting projects. So for example, just to name one from last academic year's session, academics developed with students a full module proposal for a second year open option on humanities in play, the power of gaming, so looking at basically aesthetics and philosophy of video gaming. And that's actually been approved at the executive board at university. That shows the impact that the students have in terms of the actual design of their own curriculum. We've had students curating exhibitions at the SOAS Gallery on stories of migration and the like. We've also had the publication in June 2024 of the Decolonizing Philosophy Curriculum Toolkit and Handbook, which was co-created by 4 staff and 4 undergraduates as well. So this is a very popular paid opportunity as well, emphasis on paid opportunity for students that you don't really get anywhere else in the UK as well. I think now, Alexa, we've come to the end. Yes. It's been a pleasure sharing my experiences and the pedagogical vibe with you at SOAS. I'll now turn over to Marianne, who will regale you with stories about student life at SOAS. Thank you.
Alrighty, hi everyone, my name is Marjan and I am an LLB student. I'll be speaking to you guys about a number of things regarding student life. So if you can go on to the next slide, please. Thank you so much. So like many of you, I applied to SOAS via clearing. The main reason for that being was that after getting my A-level results, I realized that actually I had changed my mind about what a degree I wanted to go into and where I wanted to learn that degree. As many of you guys already know, because you've probably done a little bit of research about SOAS, but SOAS does specialize in the areas of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. And even for degrees that are as structured as the LLB course, the difference is completely drastic. And I wanted a course that focused more on the political side of law as beyond just black letter law. So how I applied was through the clearing hotline, like everybody else. It was the generic application process of just your details, grades, etc. How this is different from the main cycle application is primarily just that beginning bit of how you got in. Going forward, there is no difference in terms of the degree that you guys have or anything like that. I know I got asked that question quite a few times during clearing, but there is no difference between a clearing application and a main cycle application student. You guys both get the same experience once university starts. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So now in terms of social life, some of the key questions we get asked are regarding, do university students have a social life? The short answer is it depends on you. There are a lot of opportunities for you guys to make friends and meet new people, but it's just about which ones you attend and what you do. So there are many clubs at SOAS. We have over 100 societies, ranging from academic ones such as the Women in Law Society, which I'm the president of, to Model United Nations, which is more debating, to art societies, Pilates societies. We have a cricket society. Anything you can think of, there is a society out there for you. And if there isn't one, you are always free to go to the SU and create your own society, and you can get funding to run whatever events that you would like to run. Now, regarding more than that, there are also events held every single week at the SU bar. We have loads of things always happening on campus, and societies typically are the ones organizing events, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of things in and around central London. The university is in a very key part of central London, and there's a lot of activities nearby. We're close to Oxford Street, Russell Square, Leicester Square. There's loads of things for you guys to go out there and do. So I'd very much encourage you guys to get involved and meet new people. Next slide, please. Now, here is a list of some of the societies that we have. Like I said earlier, there's academic, sports, cultural, faith and spiritual, politics, music, media, the list goes on. Clearly, there's a lot of societies. Examples of some of the events that we'll hold are on the right-hand side. So for the social and cultural societies like an example of the Afghanistan Society or the MENA Society, which is the Middle Eastern and African Society, is that there'll be different cultural nights. So people will come dressed in the clothing of their cultures, have a night of either music or whatever it is that they plan to do. Sometimes we have movie nights, and then the Law Society specifically every single year will go out and above to hold some black tie boat party for everyone to attend, and it's open to all degrees, not just law degree students. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of accommodation, there are many options for you guys to choose where you'd like to stay. If you have applied via clearing, normally you will receive a code in which you can apply to the accommodations. If you guys just Google SOAS clearing, there is a small tab subheading where it says accommodations and a link to where you can apply. Our main accommodation block for students of SOAS is Dwinwoody, but there are loads of accommodation centres in and around central London, mainly around King's Cross, that are open for all University of London students, so you're not limited to just Dwinwoody. There is a huge price range, it's just depending on what you guys want. So whether you guys want an ensuite, where you want to be located, do you want to have your own private room, do you want to be in an apartment shared with others but have your own private room within that, there is a big variance, which was why you can see the price difference. So a great way to go about that is just to ask for some advice or reach out to the accommodations team for any support if you guys are having any issues. Next slide, please. I'm also really sorry if I'm speaking really fast, but again, if there's anything that you guys missed, feel free to send in any questions, or you guys can also reach out to any of the student ambassadors. I'm also available online via UniBuddies. If you just Google SOAS UniBuddies, you can find students to re-ask any questions if I recapped it too fast. But regarding part-time jobs, so you don't always have to do a part-time job outside of university. You can be a waitress. A lot of students do those kind of jobs. They do baristas, but there's also jobs to do on site. So things like student ambassador, which is the job that I'm doing now. If you guys choose to be a student ambassador, applications typically open towards the end of September or October, beginning of October. You can apply to either be part of a 0-hour contract job, which is what the majority of our student ambassadors do, where you sign up to do irregular shifts whenever you want to, whenever you're free. That way you can prioritize your education and make sure that you're getting the best grades. But you can also apply to do specific roles, and some of them are long-term. So one of the roles is replying to students on UniBuddies, which is an online website. That is a year-long job that you will get paid consistently throughout the year, or you can also do things like working for a specific department, i.e. the student year abroad department or the marketing and student recruitment team as well. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of student advice and well-being, like mentioned earlier, there is a lot of support out there for you guys. A lot of this support can be found on the lower ground floor of Senate House, which when you come onto campus, you'll see is a big white building, and everything on our campus is all in one area, so it's quite easy to find. There are mental health services and well-being services. So when you go down into Senate House, on the bottom, on the lower ground floor, on the left-hand side is where the mental health is. And you can also go straight ahead to the Student Hub just to query if you can't find any of these places. There's support for disabilities and neurodivergence if you guys want to make any adjustments to whether that's your exams or you want some adjustments to be made regarding the, how do you call it, the articles that you receive. There are adjustments that can be made to your Moodle pages, etc. There is also support for immigration and finance. Again, you'll find that in the Student Hub, and you will also have access to multi-faith chaplaincies if you need them or want them. Next slide, please. Now, final tips and takeaways. The first year is always the hardest, and it's not regarding academics, but just in terms of adjusting. But just so you guys know and are aware, everyone in your year is having that same struggle, and everyone from the years above knows what it's like. So most students are very friendly and they are there to help. So if you ever have any issues, you don't need to wait to just go to speak to your tutors or your lecturers. You can literally ask anyone on campus, especially in the first couple of weeks. Everyone is aware that you guys might get lost or you don't know where everything is. So please do feel free to ask. Most of us have pretty happy faces. We won't turn away any questions. But yeah, make the most of it. If you do have any questions, you can either ask people in person, or like I said earlier, just Google SOAS UniBuddies or SOAS Chat with a Student, and you can ask us online if you don't want to ask students in person. But good luck with your first year, guys, and I wish you guys all the best. Feel free to add any questions into the chat below.
Okay, so I think I'm up next. So hello everyone, my name is Rachel Gover and I'm the Head of Study Abroad here at SOAS. First of all, a huge congratulations to all of you with your offers. I can appreciate it may have been a bit of a stressful few weeks, so well done on making it through, and we're really looking forward to welcoming you to SOAS in a few weeks' time. I'm just going to spend a few minutes now talking in a little bit more detail about some of the things that Alexa mentioned about study abroad opportunities with us here at SOAS. So can we go on to the next slide, please? Wonderful. So here at SOAS, lots of different opportunities and ways that you can study abroad, and it will depend on the degree that you're on as to whether this is something that is built into your degree, so a compulsory part of your degree, or whether it is something that you can decide to do once you join us here at SOAS. So the compulsory years will be those that are doing a language year. So if you're doing one of the BA Korean, Japanese, Arabic, Chinese, if you're doing one of those programs, then it's already built into your degree, which means it's a compulsory part and you will need to do it and pass it in order to have that year and that overall degree. We also do have the LLB with Year Abroad, and so also this is another one which is already built into your degree and you would have had to select that if you wanted to participate in that Year Abroad offering. If you have signed up to do the LLB and you are interested in doing a study abroad year, then that's not to say that you can't move on to that degree once you've joined us here at SOAS. It is just subject to places. So once you join us here with us, you'll just need to go to the department and be added to a waiting list to see if a space becomes available. And we sometimes do see a little bit of movement between that degree. So don't worry too much if you're really interested and you've not been able to get onto that degree through clearing. There might be an opportunity once you join us here at SOAS to transfer on. And then the last area, which is for every other degree program, and that is the optional year abroad. So this means that it's not a compulsory part of your degree, but once you join us here at SOAS, it's something that you want to add in there and create your degree and make it a little bit longer in terms of its length. So next slide, please, Alexa. So as I go through this presentation, you might see a few pictures in there, and these are just to highlight some of the fantastic students we have that have gone abroad as part of their degree. So we always run a little bit of a study abroad competition with some of their photos of them having a fantastic time away, and hopefully this will just inspire you a little bit in terms of some of these opportunities here. So this was one of our lovely students and them having a fantastic time in Japan. They were part of the BA Japan degree, so they spent a whole year learning Japanese as part of their degree program. Next slide, please. So how does it work? So for some of the degrees, as I mentioned, you will have already joined a 4-year degree program. So it's a compulsory part, it's built in. For the students that are doing the optional year abroad, you're currently on a 3-year degree, but once you move on to the study abroad program, once you've joined us here at SOAS, your degree will extend to 4 years. So if you're doing study abroad, your degree becomes 4 years in length. And what that means is you spend your first year here with us here at SOAS, getting used to the SOAS way of life, getting used to living in London and being a student, settling in on all your studies. And then it's in that second year that our team really starts working with you to prepare you for that year abroad placement. So in your second year is when you'll start putting in your study abroad application, for example. So if you are interested in doing the study abroad program and you're not on a compulsory degree, so you're on the optional year abroad, you put in an application to say that you're interested in your second year. It is a competitive process, so what that means is that we have a number of spaces available to students. We are growing this program, so each year the numbers are increasing and we're trying to match it to demand, but it is subject to students passing their first and second year. We also look at things like a personal statement and making sure that it's sort of you're in a position where you can go abroad. So there are some caveats that you will have to pass as part of that second year to progress onto the study abroad program, but that all happens happens in your second year. So we work with you, we do a number of sort of pre-departure events, and we have the wonderful careers team that come in and speak to you. We'll link you with an academic within your department to talk about what you would study at some of these universities. And we also ask you to select the universities that you would like to go to. So obviously, some universities are always very popular. So what that means is that we do ask you to select a number of universities, and then we look at your first year grade, we look at a personal statement, and depending on that will be who will get allocated where. So you've gone through your second year, you're all prepared, you're ready to go. It's your third year that then you would spend a whole entire academic year abroad at one of our fabulous study abroad partners that will be somewhere in the world. You spend a whole year sort of studying, being a student there, and really enjoying sort of a new place and a new city that you'll be part of. And then it's in your fourth year that you then return back to SOAS, and you would complete any modules that typically you would have studied in your third year, but you do it in your fourth year. So come back for that last fourth year here with us at SOAS. Next slide, please. So there are lots of different reasons why students want to study abroad. And in your first year, we will kind of come into some of your lectures, we'll be around, sort of talking about some of these reasons, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of some of the benefits of studying abroad. Apart from the fact that you get to go to a new city or a new country, you might like to get to try the food, the cuisine, make new friends, new people, things like that. There's lots of really amazing benefits that you can get from spending this year abroad that are going to help you in life. So right now, you might not want to think about post-university life, but there are lots of skills that you will obtain from doing a year abroad that will become really helpful as you then navigate the future. So some of these areas are things like getting a better understanding of the culture. So when you're with us here at SOAS, you might start learning a little bit about, the Middle East, for example. And then if you're going out to the Middle East, you actually get to experience it and engaging with people about it. So really building on your knowledge of that area. And you might, improve your language skills, for example, as well. But other skills that you'll get are things like career skills and problem-solving skills. So you'll become, more adaptable, more resilient. So sometimes we talk to students about, if they go into a job interview and they're told to, give an example of a time where they've had to think on their feet and resolve a situation. Well, if you spend a year abroad, then you're going to have lots of different examples of times when you're going to have navigated the situation, most likely on your own, in a different country, different culture. So it just gives you lots of great benefits and sort of examples that then you can take into your job interviews as well. So there are lots of reasons why students go abroad, and it's not just those soft skills that you'll develop, but also those sort of employment skills as well. Next slide, please. Now, a question that we get a lot of the time is, what will I study whilst I'm abroad? So if you are doing one of our language degrees, then yes, you've guessed it, you will be studying the language that you've been learning here at SOAS at one of our host universities or providers. So if you're doing Arabic, you may be going to Jordan or Egypt, and you'll be studying the classes and the languages as part of a sort of compulsory program that will help you so that when you come back to SOAS in your fourth year, you've really developed in terms of those language skills. If you're doing the LLB with Year Abroad, or you're part of the optional Year Abroad scheme, then you have a little bit more flexibility. So you will have the offering of studying in English medium universities. So they'll be teaching some of their classes in English, and then you can be taking those classes and obviously learning about it from a different perspective. Or some of them also offer language opportunities and kind of opportunities where you'll learn about the culture and things like that, which you're also welcome to take whilst you're abroad. Next slide, please. And then just to quickly touch on, again, we will go through this in your first year, and we send out lots of information and guidance, but just in case you wanted to know a little bit about how much it costs. So how the study abroad program works is you pay reduced tuition fees to SOAS. So you can see what the fees are there on the screen for the 24-25 years. These are reevaluated every year, but you can expect that it will remain around that sort of reduced cost price. So you pay that amount for your tuition fees to SOAS, and what that means is that you don't then pay any fees to the partner institution in terms of your tuition fees. So for example, if you are a student on the optional year abroad and you want to go to America, you're not going to be paying 40 grand for your tuition fees for that year. Instead, you would be paying just over £1,000 for your tuition fees. So another great benefit of doing this program. You will need to be thinking about some of the other costs though. So thinking about things like transportation costs, accommodation costs, of course, living expenses and personal costs, and then visas and potentially renewing your passport as well. So there are some things that you'll need to think about, and part of the work that we do with you in that second year is talking to you about budgeting and how you can save as much money as possible to make this something that you can do. As I mentioned before, you won't pay host university tuition fees, and you also wouldn't pay for insurance coverage if you wanted the SOAS emergency insurance coverage that we do have and we give to students for free. Next slide, please. And then I won't go into too much detail about this, but I just wanted to mention there are also lots of other ways that you can secure some funding for your year abroad. So don't feel like if you are someone that would be concerned about money, you think, oh, I can't do that opportunity. There are lots of different ways that SOAS works with some bodies to secure some funding for you to help ensure that you get abroad. So some of the different things that you can apply for is, for example, the Student Finance England loan and grant. So you can apply for that for your year abroad, and they do allow that to incur for that additional year. But there's also other funding bodies. So for example, this year we've been successful with the Turing funding again, which is a very generous amount of funding that our students get. And there's also things like independent scholarships and host university scholarships, things like that. So again, we'll talk to you about that as you kind of navigate that in your first year and second year here at SOAS. But just to flag, there are some finances that you may be able to tap into to facilitate your year abroad. Next slide, please. And then just to mention, of course, whilst you're abroad, you're not on your own. So you still remain a SOAS student. So alongside all the facilities and the resources at the partner institution or provider, so they will have their own teams that are there to support international students like yourselves that would be studying there. You also have the support of SOAS. So you can still email us, you can still ring us, call us, get in touch with us if you encounter any difficulties or you need some support or guidance. We remain here available to you to help facilitate that year away. Next slide, please. Okay, and then I think we're nearly at the end there, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of a flavour of some of the places that you could be going to. So if you are interested in study abroad and you would like to know some of the universities that SOAS is partnered with, then I do encourage you to go to the SOAS web pages, where if you go to the outbound section, you'll be in abroad, so you're outbound, you can click on the study abroad map, and we have many of our partnerships listed there. This is a developing area, so over the next few weeks we are actually adding more and more partnerships, and before you go abroad there'll be even more included in there. So keep refreshing, keep visiting it, looking at it, but that will give you just a few ideas of some of the universities you could be going to. Next slide. And that's everything from me. So a very quick taste of what the study abroad year could be for you. We really hope that you are interested in this, and we look forward to working with you in your first and second year whilst you're with us at SOAS. Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharon Sylvan, and I'm one of the career consultants in the SOAS Career Service. And I work with the Foundation College, the Access Experience Success team, and also the College of Law. Okay, next slide, please, Alexa. Thank you. Okay, so thinking about studying your degree, you will be gaining a range of skills which are valued by employers. And these are skills that won't just stop when you're at university and while you're learning. These can be transferred into your world of work. So it's really important to think about the skills that you're picking up while you're studying and thinking about your career while you're here at SOAS as well. And whether it's in terms of maybe doing an internship or volunteering, the skills that you gain can include the lists here. Okay, so we have communication, teamwork, problem solving, presentation, and so on. The list it's not exhaustive anyway, you know, the list goes on and on. So really thinking about while you're studying, what skills are you picking up? Because when you're thinking about these skills and when you're developing these skills, it's really important that when you're applying for a role, whether it be an internship or graduate scheme, that you're able to articulate these skills in your application form. And that's what's really important. So you won't just have them as a list like how it looks like here. You need to evidence them at the start of your application on your CV and on the application form. So you'll be able to articulate them in an interview. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so what is it like to be a SOAS student? You can follow SOAS and SOAS Careers team on Instagram. We also have a careers newsletter which goes out every 2 weeks, and also every 2 weeks during the vacation period and every Monday during term time. You can discuss your studies and your research with family and friends and your lecturers. Take a look at the SOAS website, speak to student ambassadors. Also, people have booked a campus tour before, which has actually informed their decision of wanting to study at SOAS. And also the open days as well is a really good way of seeing who we are, speaking to staff in person as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here's some examples of 3 profiles of what former alumni have actually studied at SOAS. So here you'll see we have BSc Finance and Management. They're now working at Burberry as an e-commerce assistant. A BA Social Anthropology and Politics degree. They work as a project officer. And somebody who's done a BA Development Studies and International Relations role work as an international communications manager. And thinking about what you're studying, many employers, are degree agnostic. So whatever you've studied, you can actually work in another sector, in a different industry, do something completely different from what your degree is. What's important is the skills that you've gained and how you can evidence and explain how they can be transferable into what you want to go into. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so the demand for intercultural awareness and people skills is actually growing. And so are students, while studying, they're very well equipped to meet demands of recruiters across the globe. So these are some of the companies that our graduates have actually gone on to work in. They've also gone on to work at Wall Street Journal, WaterAid, Oxfam, Deloitte, across all sectors as well, so public and private sector, doing a variety of roles. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so to develop your career thinking and to develop your work experience, SOAS Careers, not only do we have appointments for CVs and cover letters, but we also do have SOAS internship programs. So we have a co-creator internship program, which is open to undergraduate students and offers 25 internal internships. And this is where you'll be working with a department. So for example, we had a student this year and last year who worked with us in the career services. One of them looked at our graduate attributes, and the student also last year looked at our equality and diversity and inclusion forms for our workshops. So they are supervised and managed by a member of the team, and this can be done full-time, part-time, in person or online, and it's a paid opportunity. And this also helps you to develop your work experience. We also have these summer SOAS internships where we work with about 35 employers who are in organisations that are aligned with the degrees here at SOAS. And again, you can work full-time, part-time, hybrid, and you also are paid for these opportunities. And this is a really, really competitive internship program. For example, for this year's cycle, we had over 400 application forms. So we do recommend students apply early if this is something of interest to you, to apply early. And this way we can actually look at your CV and give you some information and some tips on how to strengthen it, because you are required to answer 3 questions and add a supporting statement to your application. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So we do have Career Zone, and we also have My SOAS Student. And what you're looking at here is My SOAS Student. And this is where we have a wealth of resources which are for students, whether it's CVs, sample cover letters. You can also book a practice interview with us as well. And we also have a section which is called What Can I Do with My Degree? So for example, if you're studying anthropology, you can see the many roles that you can actually do while after you've graduated with that anthropology degree. So it's a really good resource. We've had a really massive revamp, redesign. All of our resources are up to date as well. And this is something that students do find very helpful. And we do also have Career Zone, which is where students can actually look for opportunities, graduate schemes, internships, volunteering works, which vacancies are all vetted by the University of London. So we ensure that all vacancies are legal and students are paid for them as well. And we never advertise unpaid internships and opportunities. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so this is an example of what one of the pages looks like. So you have the resources page, and on the right-hand side here, you'll see the careers bar. So you can discover career options, apply for career opportunities, look at the career advice services. We have things on postgraduate studies, and we also do have virtual events as well. So any workshops that we have done in person, we do record them and we upload them as well for students who can't attend or students who may be abroad. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the support from SOAS Careers, we have, as I've mentioned just now, My SOAS Student and Career Zone. We have events and workshops all year around, apart from the summer because students aren't here throughout the summer, but we do have employer events. We have a careers fair every October. And our employer events, we also have alumni events as well. So for example, earlier this year, I had a employer and alumni event for anthropology, and it was in person. And this is a really good way for students to speak to those who are directly working in anthropology, and speak to recruiters, find out about what the recruitment process is like, and speak to alumni as well to find out about their experience of job searching. Again, we have internship and job opportunities. And our one-to-one appointments, we are available Monday to Friday. We are here throughout the year apart from the Christmas period. And we offer 15-minute guidance appointments where we can review your CV, review your cover letter, or even if you just want to have a chat about your career thinking and your opportunities. We offer career discussions, which is a follow-up appointment from Careers Guidance. This is for 45 minutes where we can perhaps discuss career planning, any action plans that you have for your career. If you have a LinkedIn profile that you'd like us to review, we can have a look at that as well. And we also do practice interviews. Practice interviews are to be booked 48 hours in advance if you have an actual interview coming up. And this is where we will have tailored questions which are aligned with the job description for the role that you're going for. And we will also give you feedback. And we can be contacted via the student information desk or in person as well. We are based in the Paul Webley wing on the ground floor. So you can actually email us or come and see us in person. Okay, next slide, please. I think that's it. Okay, so as I've said, this is where we're based and these are the times that we are open. So we do look forward to seeing you. And just some advice from me, never leave it too late to look for a job, especially if you are thinking about an internship and you want to do this in your second year. Do come to see us towards the end of your first year, because we've had so many students who come to see us in the second year looking for an internship. Many of the deadlines have already passed. Some have rolling deadlines, but it can be much more challenging to actually secure an internship towards the end of your second year or at the start of your second year. So even if you're thinking about a career, come to see us. We will never turn anybody away because they're in their first year or anything like that. But I've spoken to so many students who've graduated and then they come to see us. A lot of them don't even know we exist until they graduate. So it's really important to start thinking about your career thinking, about your career journey, and even bounce around ideas of what you'd like to do. Because once you reach your second or your final year, you'll have a good CV, you'll have some practice interviews behind you, and then you'll have a bit more clear idea of your career trajectory and your career journey. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Sharon, Paul, Marjan, Rachel. It is really, really informative to hear about all of your expertise in these different areas of SOAS. I know we're just at about time right now. I know we have a couple of questions when related to study abroad. And yeah, just quickly, since we are up on time at the moment, if you do have any questions, as a couple of the presenters have said today, you're more than welcome to reach out to us via SOAS's website. So via UniBuddy is where you'll have the opportunity to reach out to our current student ambassadors who will be able to talk to you about their own experiences as students. If you have questions related to things like study abroad, please do reach out via our study abroad website. Same thing for career services. But as we are on time again, I do just want to thank our panelists today so much for your participation. And thank you all again for your attendance this afternoon. Again, congratulations on making it to this stage. I understand, of course, that the application process and the clearing process in particular can be very stressful and confusing. There's a lot of information that you all are getting, but hopefully this gave you a bit of clarity about SOAS, and we do hope to see you on campus soon. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, Alexa. Thank you.